saying no, looking after number one, putting yourself first can all sound selfish and can cause you to feel guilty. But the reality is that looking after yourself, doing these things, is one of the biggest acts of love that you can perform, not just for you, but for everyone in your life, everyone who cares about you, everyone who loves you. They can know that you're safe. They can know they don't have to worry about you all the time. And human beings are so bad at that, bad at this self-care. If you're recovering from burnout, it's essential that you put yourself first. In my last video, I talked about the difference between regular and autistic burnout. I'll give some examples and my own experiences. Talked about the symptoms and what it takes to start to recover. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the fragility of those initial steps of recovery, that stage of burnout when you're just starting to recover, and a lot of the roadblocks that you're going to hit in the hope of helping others to avoid these. My first roadblock was guilt, and that is massive. You probably recognize this. So whether you're in regular or autistic burnout, there's always going to be this guilt that you're letting people down, you're not doing enough, you're failing. Guilt's a massive roadblock. For me, I'd accepted that I had to take time off work, I had to take time out, I'd submitted my medical certificate, I'd emailed my boss. I couldn't bring myself to speak to them. I don't like speaking on the phone, it's another challenge of mine. I emailed them and, it seemed okay. So that was that. And then when I was making the first few steps to recovery, I made a mistake of checking my email and finding nagging emails from work. When was I coming back? Even though I had like a long medical certificate for several months. And I made the mistake of engaging in this conversation. I should have ignored it. My GP told me later, my doctor said, you should have ignored it. You have every right to ignore it. You've submitted that medical certificate. That is all you need to do. But because of how I am, I entered into conversation and the guilt got more and more intense, that feeling of letting people down. And they were quite happy to let me feel these things. They were trying to entice me to come back too soon. Not, I'd said I was burnt out. The certificate said I needed time out, and I entered into it. And the stress and the anxiety it caused me knocked me right back. I just went back to the beginning, and after, several weeks, I realised I could not go there again. I literally had to stop thinking about work. I had to stop checking email, and I had to remove any triggers that made me think of work. So, anything I wore at work, anything I used at work, anything that related to me being outside the house and going to work had to be removed. It sounds crazy, but these little triggers were things that were holding up my recovery. So, number one, guilt. Remove triggers. You've got to help yourself out here. You've got to let it go. And then there's not just the guilt of work. That was one of my mistakes. And there's the things that you're not doing around the home. If you say no to someone, you feel guilty. As I said, you've got to look after number one, and that's the best thing you can do. So anything that's going to trigger feelings of guilt, get rid of them. Just move them. Don't check email. Don't check your phone. The phone, another thing. You've got to get rid of it. Or you've got to hide it. Turning my phone off wasn't enough for me. I not only had to turn it off, I had to literally hide it under loads of blankets and pillows and things so I couldn't even see it. And then you look out the window, you see the grass going, I've got to mow the lawn. Don't do it. When I was pregnant with my firstborn, I can remember I got a little message, a little card, after they were born, and it said something like, settle down, cobwebs, dust, go to sleep. I'm rocking my baby, and babies don't keep. And babies don't keep. But dust can do its thing. Weeds and grass can grow. Just let it go. Because our health is so important. As I said, that stage of recovery from burnout is critical. You've got to be selfish. So you get rid of all those triggers. Get rid of the guilt. And once you've managed that, and you start to take tiny steps towards recovery, which could look like, one day you get out of bed, you go downstairs, you make a cup of tea. It could look like picking up a book or taking a few steps. It will be tiny. You have to manage these tiny steps and not go too fast too soon. That's the second biggest roadblock for me. Thinking, okay, so if I can walk downstairs, I can go outside and mow the lawn. Oh yeah, just try it, why don't you? Because every time you knock yourself back, every time you set yourself up for failure, you are delaying your recovery and you're putting yourself right back to where you came from. Setting yourself up for failure is a big no-no. So you've got to take tiny steps and lower your expectations. That's not a bad thing. We have very, very high expectations of ourselves, and we can't afford to have those, not when we're trying to recover from burnout. I mean, a lot of this sounds like common sense, but when you put it into practice, when you try and face the reality of it, it doesn't feel like common sense. It feels like a struggle. So take it slowly, easy, slow steps. Have a safe space. For me, it's my room. I mean, I live in a house with my daughter and partner and grandchildren, and I need a space where I can be quiet and that's just my space, where I can remove all those triggers. I have like my noise cancelling headphones, which are absolutely essential. I pretty much wear these every hour I'm awake, and I really need to get a backup pair. If anything happened to these, I don't know what I'd do. Honestly, they have saved me so many times. They're amazing. But I'm going to talk more about a lot of the things that can actually help us with during burnout and to prevent burnout, future burnout in the next video. But in this one, we're talking about the mistakes and the roadblocks. So instead of guilt, there's guilt, and then there's going too fast, too much too soon. Because if you do try and do too much too soon, I said you're going to go back where you were, or even worse. You get completely exhausted. Fatigue and energy management are really difficult, especially with ADHD, because, as I said previously, your brain can't tell your body to switch off. You really have to learn. You really have to look at managing energy as a big project. It's got to be a thing that you've got to achieve. You can make spreadsheets if that's your thing. Some people like spreadsheets. I look at them and my brain goes, blah. I love brainstorming diagrams. They are the things that I like. I like the branches, like the broccoli brain, going off on all the different tangents. Are more organic to me and more natural. But you can do that. You can make brainstorm. You can manage your energy. You can try and read when you've got that focus enough to read. You can doodle. I doodle a lot. It's stimming, sensory things, things that make you feel better. All these kind of things. Music and stuff. So slow down and try and create an environment that feels safe enough and enables you to move at a slower pace, where you've not got all these triggers around. So there's the guilt, and then there's the trying to go too fast. And then for me, my biggest roadblock of all, and I think this is the case for every single time I'm being burnt out, is the one that set me back. I think it set me back maybe up to a year with this current burnout. And that is believing that recovery is being back to the person you were before, doing the things you were doing before, at the same pace and capacity as you were doing them before. Now, how you were living before, all of the things you were doing before, the speed you were moving at before, you were never, ever meant to be living like that. It was always wrong. No one could keep up that way of living. So feeling that you've got to be back to doing all the things you were before at the same pace you did them before is unrealistic, completely unrealistic. But I truly believed, and I guess all the burnouts I've had in my life, that for me, I would continually look at myself and think, oh yeah, well I used to be able to do this, that and the other. And that would be my goal, to get back to doing this, that and the other. No wonder I burnt out again and again and again, you know. We were never meant to be working at that pace. We were never meant to be doing all those things. We weren't meant to be living that way, which is why we burned out. And that is that big, powerful message again. It's here for a reason. It's here for us to learn from, not to repeat the same mistakes. So stop believing that recovery means being back to how you were before, because you were never meant to be living that way. You weren't meant to be that way. That's the toughest one. It's so ingrained in us, especially, as I said, with late diagnosis, that we've got to be who we were then, that we've got to be that person that we were then, that we've got to be doing all those things we were then. And we will continually compare ourselves to how we were then. And it's a lot of breaking. You've got to break these habits. You've got to break the guilt. You've got to get rid of the triggers. You've got to stop you trying to race to keep up. Always being like not good enough, not fast enough. It's a complete disaster if you want to recover from burnout. Living with autism and ADHD and being in burnout is a lot. You got the brain, the ADHD brain saying, you're not going fast enough, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. You know, as I said, you shouldn't have been doing all those things. But trying to shut that voice down is not easy, because of the things like the guilt, you know, the feeling that you're letting people down, that you're not good enough, that, oh yeah, I could do all these things 6 months ago, so why can't I do them now? You got to quit. You got to quit all that stuff. I'm not saying it is easy. It's not. It's a struggle. It's something you have to keep reiterating and telling yourself again and again. You have got to look after you, and you've got to say no, and you've got to remove those triggers and roadblocks, and you've got to stomp that guilt on the head. Otherwise, you're not going to recover. You're just going to go through it again and again and again. You might feel like you're recovered. And no doubt you will face future burnouts, but we can make them, I'm sure we can make them easier. In the next video, I'm going to talk about some of the practical things that I've discovered that have helped me face all these roadblocks and challenges. And I'm still discovering, I'm still learning every day. I recently went on a big round the world trip, which I wasn't ready for. But not only was I not ready for, but I had no idea, even if I had felt I was ready, of what it would do, how far it would set me back, and what it would entail. Because when recovering from burnout in your comfort zone is one thing, but when you're taken out of your comfort zone, the things you face are just so vast. So that's another video. So I hope you've learnt something from this video. In the next video, I'll talk about the things that helped me, and hopefully I'll help other people. I hope some of this has helped you. I hope it hasn't been too rambly and going off on tangents, and I've given you something to think about. And remember, if you are going through burnout and you're in those early stages of recovery, think about how fragile it is, and remember that putting yourself first and saying no is one of the biggest gifts you can give, not only to you, but to everyone in your life who loves and cares about you. My name is Bobby, and the channel's called Broccoli and Toast, and this is the second in a series of videos about burnout.